Good evening and welcome to tonight's debut of Insight. I am your host, Pat Gagliardo, and Insight is designed to educate, enlighten, and inform you. Each show will include guests who will share with you exciting topics, and you can phone in to speak directly to them. Later on in the show, you can also call in and ask me questions, of course, in the paranormal field. But I ask you viewers, please, in the first half of our program, while we are privileged to have guests, to please direct your questions to the guest. After that, you can call me and you can ask me questions concerning your career, relationships, your health. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm an intuitive consultant and I have been a practicing consultant for 15 years. I'm an author, I'm a radio and talk show host of TV, I'm a lecturer and an instructor for positive thinking and meditation classes. It gives me such great pleasure tonight to introduce my guest to you. And he is a UFO investigator. For those of you who are UFO buffs, you will certainly enjoy this program. You will find it fun, exciting, and even controversial. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce my guest to you, Larry Fawcett. And Larry is a police lieutenant in Coventry, Connecticut, and as I said, a UFO investigator for this tri-state area. Good evening, Larry, and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Pat.
Now, Larry, we know that this is a very controversial subject, UFOs, and especially now with this new movie that we've been seeing a lot about over this past week on television and other media. Let me ask you, for our viewers, how did you become involved in UFOs?
Well, I got involved in '65 after seeing the storyline that the government was putting out that anything that was being reported as UFOs by people were nothing more than hoaxes or people that were trying to make money or just misinterpretation of natural phenomena. This was the government line. And being from Missouri, I had to see with my own eyes to believe. Prior to '65, I didn't believe in UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
If you came to me and said that you've seen a UFO, I would have said you're crazy. These things don't exist because our government tells us that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in '65, I had the opportunity to witness something that was very out of the norm.
Mm-hmm. By yourself, you
No, I was
this?
with other people. I was on my way home from work, and I stopped at an automobile dealership in the town of Manchester. This is summertime, 5 o'clock in the afternoon in July. And while inside, I see a bunch of people outside very excitedly pointing at something in the sky. And being nosy, I went outside to see what they were looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And looking up, I see this thing coming down, and to me it looked like a small aircraft at first that was very high in the sky, that was having some problems, and was coming down in a falling leaf motion. And it came down directly across the street from where I was standing was an electrical substation that supplies the town of Manchester with its electrical power. This thing came down, and as it was coming down, it was getting bigger and bigger, and realizing this wasn't no plane, it stopped directly above the electrical substation.
What made you realize it wasn't a plane?
Well,
Did it have noise or?
No, there was no noise at all. I had been around aircraft in the military. I knew what hovering aircraft looked like, and this was something I'd never seen before. It stopped directly over the substation. By this time, it had grown in size, and I would compare it with that of a 747 aircraft. No windows, no doors. It was metallic. A rod came out the bottom. Some electricity jumped from the rod to the electrical substation, or vice versa. Subsequently, the lights in Manchester went out. The rod retracted. The object went straight up in the air and disappeared. Total time of the sighting was about 34, 35 seconds tops. If I had a camera, Pat, I was so dumbfounded at what I was seeing, I would have never took a photograph of it. Which convinced me that there was something strange occurring out here.
Okay, of course, at that time, you were still a policeman, too.
Yes.
So what happened after that point?
Well,
what did you do after that?
Once I saw that, I became a little bit of a believer. I went and picked up every book I could find on the subject, eventually joining civilian UFO organizations, and eventually going to work, actually, for some of these organizations in the state of Connecticut, and eventually working for the government in '68 to '69 as an early warning coordinator for the Condon Committee probe of UFOs.
Which means exactly what?
Well, Condon was a spin-off from Project Blue Book. They were contracted by the United States government after a series of sightings, very spectacular sightings in Michigan, and they did a 9-month investigation on the phenomena for the government, and I worked for them at that time as an early warning coordinator.
How did you tie up with UFO'S, and can you explain to our viewers exactly what that is all about, and the scientists that you became involved with, and what happened with them through the government agencies?
Okay. In working with the civilian UFO organizations as an investigator in New England, I finally was able to team up with the scientific consultant to Project Blue Book, who became my mentor, by the way, Dr. J. Allen Hynek. He was a scientist that for 20 years worked for the United States government, the Air Force, specifically investigating UFOs. Went in as a skeptic like I did, came out as a firm believer that yes, there is something here, there is pay dirt here. And his final conclusions were, prior to him dying, was, which he died 3 years ago, that when the phenomena is found out, our science will jump a quantum.
You went on a very, very lengthy search, I know, Larry. You even took up with some of our government agencies, and you fought with them to uncover some of your information. Explain to us how that came about.
Well, after, like I said, them years working with civilian UFO organizations and with Dr. J. Allen Hynek, I became a firm believer that the answer to the phenomena lied within the government files. And in '66, when the government passed the Freedom of Information Act, which gave John Q. Public access to records, in utilizing the Freedom of Information Act, Barry Greenwood and I, my co-author to the book, began suing the United States government for information. Those specific intelligence agencies that had some information we believed or had been involved in the UFO phenomena in the early years. So we began a quest by suing various intelligence agencies after writing Freedom of Information Act requests for UFO documents and being turned down.
So you actually took them into court?
That's correct. We sued the Central Intelligence Agency from an agency telling us that they had no documentation. The suit took 9 months, where we won over 2,000 documents from them. From an agency saying we have no documents, we find 2,000 documents. Now, the document that you're seeing or going to see on the screen was another suit that I did with the National Security Agency. You'll notice at the top of the document it says top secret. This was a memorandum that was asked for in what's called an in-camera session with the judge. This 21-page affidavit was presented by NSA to show cause why the courts, the federal courts, could not release its UFO information to me. Now, you must remember, all government studies done on UFOs, the conclusions were that, one, no UFO investigated or looked at showed no indication of extraterrestrial visitation, two, that the technology displayed by the phenomena was not beyond known technology of today, and three, that UFOs pose no threat to the security of the United States. And remember that, because that's an important point. Here we have now an agency with a top secret document saying we can't show you all our UFO information. We have them. Every intelligence agency that we went into court with, we gained documents. To date, I have well over 40,000 documents, pages of documents, which the book, the UFO Cover-Up, is about. It shows that indeed the phenomena is very real, and the government is withholding this information from the public.
And why do you suppose that is, Larry? Why would there be a reason? What is the necessity for our government, if in fact UFOs do exist? What, other than through maybe national security, what else could be possibly going on? What is your conjecture? What do you suppose is taking place?
One can only speculate there because I don't have the answers, Pat. One is technology. And this...
Yeah, because there was a time there for a good, what, a decade or more, where it seemed that our own technology stood still.
Right.
Do you think this has anything to do with it?
It's a possibility. There were rumors running rampant throughout the UFO community and even in the various magazines that are on the newsstands, Aviation Weekly and so forth, that the government was creating new type of aircraft all of a sudden. Information that came to Barry Greenwood and I once we began suing the United States government was telling us, keep it up because you're going to hit pay dirt down the line, that the government was indeed well aware of the UFO phenomena and in some incidences was exchanging technology probably or possibly with an extraterrestrial civilization. That sounds really way out in sci-fi land, but when we began investigating, from the information that we were receiving and people were telling us where to look, we would find.
What kinds of people, so to speak, Larry, what kinds of persons were, in fact, talking about these UFO experiences? Well,
UFO experiences people talk about come from all walks of life, Pat. Doctors, lawyers, presidents of the United States, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, all had UFO incidences or had seen UFOs. So there is no set line of who's reporting UFO events. What the documents did show us, that credible people and professional people were also reporting UFOs.
Well, what was the government telling them?
Well, the government was telling them that they were misinterpreting natural phenomena. When Dr. Hynek got off of Blue Book, told me that Blue Book was nothing more than a public relations thing for the Air Force. Where it was supposed to be a scientific investigation, there was only 4 people in the Blue Book office. So that was nothing more, like I said, than a public relations thing. If they could not explain a sighting away, say, they would tell Dr. Hynek how to answer it. He didn't have a free hand in that. In other words, they would say, you would answer this astronomically or some way.
Now, say I had a UFO experience. What would be the steps taken if I wanted to report it?
Well,
outside of you, if I
today
wanted
the government,
to go.
if you call the government, the Air Force, and to report a UFO event, they will tell you they're out of the UFO business. To call your local college, your astronomical department, or your local police department. Then they would ask you for your name and address and what location of the country you're in, telling you that, like I said before, they're out of the UFO business. Once you hang up, they do something different because we were able to free up a document to show their procedures. Once you hang up with the UFO report, they do absolutely opposite of what they told you. They call the National Combat Operations Center, they scramble aircraft for something that don't exist.
For those of you who would like to phone in and talk with my guest, Larry, the phone number in Connecticut to call is 1-800-443-TV26. If you're out of state, the number to call is 203-444-2626. Hi, and welcome back. For those of you who may have just tuned in, we are accepting phone calls now at 1-800-443-TV26 for you to direct your questions to my guest, Larry Fawcett. And I understand we have a caller on the line. Rich from New London, go ahead.
Yes, Larry, I'd like to know, has there ever been any sightings in the New London County area, and if so, where and when?
In my years of investigating UFOs in New England, I've never investigated one in the New London area, unfortunately. We did a lot in the other part of the state, up and around the Winsted-Torrington area, when I was working for the government back in '66.
Okay? Thank you for calling, Rich. Again, let me give you that number, ladies and gentlemen, 1-800-443-TV26. And out of state, please call 203-444-2626. Bob from Montville, go ahead.
Hey, Larry, do you think that the government is withholding information from you because the UFOs are actually in control of the world?
Well, yes, the government is withholding documentation from me with national security implications. Like the CIA suit and the NSA suit, there were documents that we couldn't obtain with the court's blessings. In other words, there's still NSA documents that we can't touch due to national security implications, but all studies done by the government, the Air Force, the National Security Agency, and the CIA claim that UFOs pose no threat to the security of the United States.
Oh, but that doesn't... Do you think that our government is actually the UFOs that we are actually sighting? Do you think our technology is that far advanced and they won't let you have it, so like some foreign country won't take advantage of it and make gains out of it?
Well, I think in the beginning that was possibly the reason for a lot of the cover-up, also the learning of technology, but I don't think that's true today now.
Thank you very much, caller. Okay, go ahead, Joe Marie from East Hartford.
Yes, Mr. Fawcett.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to ask a question. First of all, do they come in different shapes?
You're talking about the people that report seeing alien beings.
Yeah.
Usually the worldwide report of the visitors that are coming here, for a better word for them, are 3.5 to 4 feet tall, very large head out of proportion to the body, very large eyes, great texture to the skin. This is reported worldwide.
Well, I have been reading up on them, but I was wondering about the saucer itself. We experienced something here a few years ago ourselves in our driveway. It was shaped in a triangle, shaped with all these lights, very quiet, not making one sound, right over our driveway as we were coming from across the street, which we have a shopping center here. And my daughter, who was about 9 years old, was frightened. It was around 10 o'clock at night in the summer, and she said, "Mommy, I'm afraid." I said, "What are you afraid of?" You know, the lights were out in the shopping center. And she looked up and she said, "Mommy, look." And I looked up right in our driveway. Right above us was this, we assumed it was a flying saucer because it was low very quiet, but shaped, you know, a triangle with all these lights.
Very big?
Very, very large. And as we looked up, it's like there, like, well, you might say seconds, I guess, and then it took off without a sound. The next night, I came out the door around, must have been around 8 o'clock. Well, it was getting dark. I had to go on an errand. I'm getting in my car. I looked up. I sensed something. I looked up, and right above me again, there it was. So now I run in the house to tell my husband, and when we came out, it was gone. So that's why I was wondering if it came in different shapes.
Well, yeah, UFOs have been reported in all kinds of shapes, cigar shape, ice cream cone shape, triangles, boxes, pickle shape. The triangle that you reported here to me now is being seen worldwide on a very large scale, like Belgium. They've been seeing this large triangle-shaped thing over there now, which is the size of 2 football fields. So, like I said, it comes in all various sizes and shapes.
Thank you very much, caller. You're on the line, Denise from Stonington. Hello?
Yes, Mr. Fawcett.
Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering, do you think it's possible our government has had contact with these aliens and they're withholding it from us?
Well, we were able to surface, you've always heard the story of crash UFOs and alien bodies. During our suits with the United States government, and we were able to capture or receive a document in one of our suits that talked about that very thing, that the United States government had information which was passed on to then the director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, which talks about crash UFOs and alien bodies that the government had in its possession. Based on that documentation, we went back into court again about 7 years ago with something called a writ of habeas corpus extraterrestrial. We wanted the creature that they had in their possession. From an agency that could have went into court, into federal court, and saying, Your Honor, we have no alien bodies, this suit is frivolous. They went into court telling the courts that they had no jurisdiction in a military manner.
Thank you, caller. Go ahead, Leslie from Jewett City.
Hi, Larry. This is Leslie. I have a question. Back in December, I was living in the Norwich area, and there was supposed to be sightings in the Hartford and the Norwich area, and we contacted Channel 8 News, and they said, yes, there was, but also my stepdaughter did, well, according to her, she said she saw a UFO. I don't know about if it was an exact UFO or not, but I'm just curious. Was there other sightings in the area? Because you said...
I can remember one in the Norwich area over the Sheraton Hotel off of 84 over there, where people coming out of a hairdressing studio across the street saw this large object coming over the Sheraton Hotel. And we did go up into that area, and I did investigate that specific case in talking to the 3 or 4 first-hand witnesses to that event, which, by the way, Pat Gagliardo turned the case over to me after hearing about it. And from talking to the witnesses, very sincere, very honest, and we're very puzzled at what they were seeing. I did contact the Weather Bureau. I did contact Bradley Airport to find out if they had anything on radar at the time. And after the investigation was concluded, it turned out to be an unknown. We couldn't identify it.
Thank you very much, caller. Okay, Lorraine from New London, you're on.
Hi. Is there any evidence that our government has had live aliens in captivity and maybe still do? I mean, we talk about dead ones that people feel that they've picked up. How about live ones?
That has been the rumor that's been going on for years, that the United States government has dead aliens and also live ones. I never found out that fact in the documents. I did find that indeed that they did have crash UFOs and alien bodies, and allegedly that we are trying to back-engineer the technology from the crash UFOs into our technology today.
Thank you very much, caller. Okay, Bob from Manchester.
Hi, I'd just like to ask Larry if he's ever talked with anybody who's had a close encounter of the third kind or actually been abducted. You know, like the movie that's out now.
Fire in the Sky?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Yes, in my course of investigations over the 20 years, I had the privilege to look into the Barney and Betty Hill case in New Hampshire, where I first came into contact with Pat Gagliardo at Betty Hill's house. Also, I investigated a case up in Ashburnham, Massachusetts, for an author who later became the subject of 3 books, the Andreasen Affairs, which was an abduction that took place up there. These people that are reporting these abductions events are very sincere, And in the two cases that I looked at, the Hills and the Andreasen affair, I firmly believe that something happened to these people.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay, Larry, this is so interesting. I remember when you and I had a conversation after I did meet you with Betty Hill. It was quite a fascinating experience for myself as well. Tell us what happened right out in your own town that time when you were out searching out in the woods with a broken fence, and what happens when you uncover some actual evidence, well, things that you have yourself done.
Pat, you must remember there are a lot of people out in the field today that consider themselves experts in the UFO field. There are no experts in the UFO field. To be an expert, you would have the peace or aliens to say, look, this phenomenon is very real. And that's the catch-all in this phenomenon. Nobody has positive proof on this. Yeah. And this is what we're searching out.
Well, we're certainly going to try and find that out, hopefully, before the year 2000. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who have just tuned in, you are watching Insight, and I am your host, Pat Gagliardo. And now, for the remainder of the program, I will answer your calls. You can ask me questions concerning your career, your relationships, your health, or anything else that pertains to the paranormal field. The telephone number to call in Connecticut is 1-800-443-TV26. Out of state, please telephone 203-444-2626. Larry, I can't thank you enough for being my guest, and I hope that you'll come back and join me again. Let's go to the telephone lines. Go ahead, caller.
Hi.
Good evening.
Is this Pat?
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
This is so exciting. I have about a zillion questions. I'll narrow it down to one.
Yeah, please. And let's do one at a time, okay?
Sure. I'd like to know, do you think that I'll have children? Are they in the cards, so to speak?
Ooh,
it's a difficult question
yes,
for me.
It is, because I think you already have the answer to that. You've been going through a difficult time with it already. Something tells me, something 16. I don't know if I'm perceiving 16 months. I don't know if I'm perceiving something on the 16th, but the numbers 16 come to me, and I know that there is some concern. I honestly don't, unfortunately, I hate to answer it this way because I don't want to give you any information that would be discouraging.
Right.
But I have to be honest, and I have to answer it exactly as I feel it. And I know that there's some either medical problems or something that's prohibiting from an actual pregnancy. So I will say this, I don't feel it in your immediate future. I certainly don't want you to stop trying, but you know, you're full of love, and so is the mate in your life. And if they can't be natural, I'm sure that you would welcome in other children.
Great answer, okay.
And listen, and I also kept getting foreign. So you might have already discussed this, that if there couldn't be natural, that perhaps there would be a foreign baby. And if that's so, God bless you, because I think it's wonderful.
Great. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, and good night. Carol, go ahead. You're on the line.
Yes. About 2 weeks ago, I was typing on a friend's computer, and as I typed, pools of water began to appear on top of the keys, and then a pool of water appeared on the back of the computer. I wiped off a couple of the keys, and then the water disappeared. We looked everywhere trying to find out where the water came from.
There is a hallway right outside this room.
Yes.
And it's narrow, and the house itself is older.
Yes.
And one part of the house has had some cosmetic change. Other part of the house is in some need, but hasn't been done yet. There's also a house to the side that's very close, and to the other side more removed. I believe that there is some sort of energy around the property, but the only way that I could really give you something definite about that, Carol, I'd probably have to put myself physically on the property. And even at that, there's no guarantee. I do sense something of an, out of the ordinary, so to speak. I would like you to call me about this situation if you so desire. And for those of you who need to get in touch with me on a private level, the number is 886-9429. I can't go into that with you in great detail over the air, Carol, but it is something that probably could warrant some investigation. I didn't feel anything that is alarming, I will say that. but I think that it would need some investigation. Okay?
Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you. Go ahead, the caller from Norwich. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not necessary to give me your name. As a matter of fact, I would appreciate not getting your name. It's easier for me to tune into the energy without a name. So go ahead, caller from Norwich.
Good evening, Pat.
Hi.
I'm sure you get this question a million times, but I'd just like to know, is my financial status going to improve?
Well, you're exactly right on that one, especially with the economics of the country in these past several years. But in your particular circumstance, first thing that comes to me is that I'd say that your financial situation is just riding the tide. Every now and then your head may bob a little bit above the water, but I don't see you on, you know, on any kind of poverty row at this point. But I will tell you this, your financial situation toward the late summer and early fall will have a little improvement and then kind of find its way again, kind of even out. But don't be too concerned. Caller, while I get your vibration, your energy, who is in the health field? Is it yourself or someone close to you?
Someone close to me.
Very close to you?
Yes, very close.
Like a relative?
Yes.
And I get some concerns here. Something is telling me a trip planned and then not coming to pass for some reason. If you don't know what I'm telling you at this moment, it is coming, and it's not that far away. Whomever the person is going to be a little emotionally upset, so stick clear. Stay near and be near, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good night. Okay, caller from New London, go ahead.
Hello. I'd like to ask you something about my work.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know, will I still be working at the same place in April and May that's coming
Boy. You have a very specific reason for asking me that question. I know that there are changes already, and there's concern not only with yourself, but other co-workers about the same situation. And I will tell you honestly, the impression that comes to me tells me there are changes in and around you, meaning not directly at this point, but in the time frame that you just asked me about, yes, there will be some definite changes. So I can't say, yes, you'll be exactly where you are presently. You may be bounced a little bit and then removed and have to look for something else. So if you're already entertaining the thoughts, I would go for it.
You mean the thoughts of looking somewhere else?
Yes, because I feel it's on shaky ground.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for calling. To answer the phones, I am answering the phones in an intuitive manner, which means I will tune into you and psychically answer your questions. Earlier in the program, I told you about a post office box where you can write to me. I know there are a lot of people out there who would like to keep some of their questions private, and I can respect that. And I so enjoy having this outlet, this network, to come to you every week to help you. So for those of you who do not wish to have yourselves disclosed publicly, please write to me at Insight, Post Office Box 425 in Jewett City, Connecticut, 06351. Please keep in mind that you must include a photograph, a single-person photo preferably, and a self-addressed stamped envelope. And please limit your letter and your questions in your letter to two, maybe three. And remember to tune in each week to Channel 26 and listen for your mail to be answered. Also, if there is a particular subject matter that you'd like to know about, and if there are some of you viewers out there who have an interesting career, please let me hear from you. Write to me at Insight, okay? And without further ado, let's go right to the phones. Okay, caller from Norwich.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Pat. I was wondering if you could tell me about my career and if I'm choosing the right career and if I'm going to have financial success in it.
Okay, were you torn between two different ones within the same field?
Yeah. But I'm choosing the easier,
I know,
I
you're
guess.
going with the latter one. The
Right.
only concern that I have, that I think that I'm reading it from you, and I don't mean to be rude, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have to.
Okay.
Once my mind makes the connection with the energy, it kind of just floods me with its own information, so please bear with me.
Okay.
And what's coming to me is that you're concerned that there might not be either a demand in the immediate region for what you're choosing to do, or if it's not going to be lucrative enough. My concern is the same thing. My mind keeps telling me limitation, limitation. That being the case, you may want to broaden your horizons again, and maybe want to expand even in the parameter of where you're living, because I do feel you might find that it is going to be rather difficult for you within probably the first 6 months. But what am I getting about you that still involves education?
Well, I'm going to school right now.
So you're not finished yet?
No, I'm not finished yet.
So within that 6 months then, from the time you're finished, it will probably be kind of touch and go, you know, come see, come saw, so to speak.
Right.
So, but
So,
that'll be okay for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of support about you, maybe living with family or being with family,
Right.
so you won't have to be real concerned about making a living right away. So that being the case, don't jump into anything. Wait.
Okay.
You also have a talent on a creative note. I don't know if I'm getting with literature, writing, or something with organizing that you'll probably incorporate at the same time, and that'll be wonderful. So don't worry.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, caller from New London, you're on the line.
Yes, Pat, I have a question about my love interest. Is this going to improve, hopefully, in the near future?
You already have the answer to that one. My mind says it's been rather rocky for some time now, and I did send someone in your life, out of your life, in your life, out of your life, meaning on an emotional level that I'd love to tell you improvement, and the only way I am going to say improvement to you is you must make it happen. You know, you're a very given human being, but when you feel frustration, you go to another extreme where you're very uptight and moods are erratic with you, and that lets me know that you're very non-fulfilled. So what I'd like to see you do, first of all, get a handle on what's going on with you. There's some things you know you have to make some changes in. Do it. And then your love life, you'll see probably the end of 94, mid to end of 94, big improvement. Okay?
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
And good luck to you. Okay, caller from Danielson, go ahead, please.
Hi, how you doing?
Good evening, sir.
I'm interested in my business. You've got a business that's been gone kind of downhill.
It's been going downhill for some time now.
Right.
And you've come to a crossroads probably toward the latter part of fall of last year, and you're just hanging.
Right.
My mind says you're just dangling. If you are considering then making a change, I would like to encourage you to do that. Of course, I can't tell you what to do. I don't have the right to inflict my will on yours, but through my impression via suggestion, I certainly would encourage it. You know, there is something else you wanted to do anyway, and I feel like probably maybe 4 to 6 years ago, it was a stronger part of your life then, and then it got placed on the back burner. And something with going places or being mobile and maybe consulting in a manner of like offering advice to do something. Now, what it is, I don't know. It could be lawn care. I don't know. All I know is if you've considered that avenue, get your confidence back up. Because about 4 to 6 years ago, as I said, things were really good for you then.
Right.
And it hasn't been now. So get that ball rolling again, and don't be afraid. Okay?
All righty.
All righty, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, caller from Griswold, go ahead, please.
Hi, Pat.
Good evening.
How are you tonight?
Well, thank you.
That's good. The reason why I'm calling is I'm calling to see if you see any career change or job change that would be closer to home.
Closer to home?
Yeah. I travel about 186 miles a day.
I knew it was a distance, but I didn't think it was that great of a distance.
Yeah, it is.
The only problem with it is, not in your immediate future, I don't.
You don't.
Limitation again, my mind says limitation. Don't give up the ship. Maybe not right now, but the month of July, very strong to me, the month of July. So I want to tell you that if you're looking, I don't know if a transfer is exactly the right word I want to use, but making, doing the same kind of work, but, and closer to home would be definitely closer. I'm coming closer, and I don't mean 100 miles even here. So it's just not right now. Something will break at that time, like a new place open or a new position available. And somebody's got a feeler out for you already. So I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
So you have to wait till July, maybe August.
I have one more question to ask.
Sure. Go ahead.
Do you see or foresee me meeting somebody within the next 6 months?
Well, you probably meet 1 or 2 people in that time frame, but anything in the way of a real committal or a bona fide relationship leading to commitment, probably not. But that's okay, because at that time, in that time frame that you asked me about, it's going to be all right that there isn't someone right there, because with what's coming on with the other changes, you're not going to be able to make that kind of commitment. So don't be that concerned right now.
All right, then.
All right?
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
And we're going to go right to the lines, because I know that they're jammed up here, so I'll try to take as many calls as I can before the show ends this evening. Go ahead, caller from Glastonbury.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, I'd like to know about my future of this year.
Okay, you're going to have to kind of narrow that down a little bit, because that's a very broad field for me, and I could have a ball with that, but not just 10 or 15 minutes. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'd like to know a little bit about going to Puerto Rico on a trip, and I would like to know if things are going to work out for me this year.
Well, first of all, as soon as you mentioned Puerto Rico to me, I got a little disturbing information. Is there any reason I would send someone over in Puerto Rico that's not in good health? If you don't, I'm sorry?
My grandmother.
Okay. Well, I will have to tell you this then. My concern is there might be a little bit of setbacks in the year of '93 for you. I know that you've been putting your own life on hold for a very long time. Believe me, I'm very well aware of it. And I would, please don't cry, because if you cry, then I won't be able to help you. Let me tell you this. You need all the support you can from your family.
Yes, I do.
And you need to allow them to help you. There's been a lot of frustration in your family and a lot of undercurrent of anger. I want to see you work through that. I would like to encourage you to get some therapy, because I really feel it's necessary for a sounding board. Okay? And look for some improvement. If you take this advice, look for some improvement within the next 2 years, maybe 94, 95. Okay?
Yeah,
and thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Okay, caller from Voluntown, you're on.
Hi, Pat.
Good evening.
I was wondering how you feel about people who have said they've had near-death experiences.
Oh, wonderful question. I'm so happy you brought this to my attention. You saved me from answering this or actually talking about this before the end of the show. Please don't miss next week. Make certain you tune in on March the 16th on Insight. I will have Dr. Grayson here, who is a professor from the University of Connecticut on near-death experiences. So please don't miss next week, okay?
Great.
Thank you.
I was wondering, because I am close to somebody who has had one, and
certainly
it's amazing how they can just rub off on you.
Well, that's why I said then you want to speak to the expert, and he will be in with us next week, okay?
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Okay, caller from Montville, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Pat.
Good evening.
I was wondering what you see about my job status and what direction is my relationship going right now.
Okay, well, let's go to the job first. Okay. Is there any reason, I don't know if I'm picking this up from you, in your immediate future, meaning your immediate present rather and future, or something you've done before, why do I get later in the night or late evening? Do you work late evening?
Sometimes.
Or did you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And now you only do it periodically.
Right.
Okay. Why then do I get a lot of either walking or something with your legs?
That's true.
The job bothers you.
Yeah.
It bothers you in your legs.
Right.
But I see you kind of like just bouncing along your merry way. The job isn't what I would call very fulfilling. I think it's rather routine and sometimes mundane. But I don't feel anything in the immediate future that you need to be concerned about as far as longevity of the job. But I am not going to tell you that the hours or your time may not change, because I did feel that that will happen again. But you'll be okay. You'll be all right.
Okay.
Okay?
What about my direction in my relationship?
Can I sum that up in one word without you getting angry?
Nope, go ahead.
Non-compatible.
Okay.
You're as different as night and day. And I hear you laughing. I hear you laughing. It's like oil and water sometimes, and you get very frustrated because I feel sometimes you talk and he doesn't hear you. It's almost like he doesn't understand your needs or your desires. So I don't see you doing anything to eliminate this relationship in your immediate future either. Okay. So only until you decide to sit down and really discuss the whys and the what-fors and the expectations, only then is there going to be improvement. Otherwise, you're going to just give them the heave-ho. I feel it from you. You've already done it, probably. But I'm saying it jokingly. I know there's love there, but I just don't feel like you're connecting. And that's what you really need to do. Get that compatibility to work. You know, you're kind of like oil and water at this point. If you sit down and really try to discuss from your heart instead of the attitude, I think it will improve. But it's going to take time.
Okay. One more thing.
Okay,
do you
quickly
think
though.
About my job, is it going to improve any?
Well, as I said before, expect some of those changes for a while, and some shift change maybe, or hour change. As far as improvement, you're at a stalemate, and it's probably going to stay that way until economics improve. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Bye-bye.
Okay, caller from Preston, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering, I have a job interview on Friday. Can you tell if that's...
Excuse me, is this a second time, or is this a second interview within a 2-week time?
First interview.
Okay, well then there will be a second interview, my mind says, within a 2-week time frame. I don't know if it'll be the same place. First impression I must go with, but I will tell you this. You're a little intimidated by this position. Don't be. You need to go in there and you need to sell your capability. You know you can do it, but I feel from you a little bit of fear. Please don't let that happen. You need to go in and say, look, I can do this and this, and you're a quick learner, and that you are. So remember what I'm telling you, because I feel that second interview, and that'll be important. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night. Okay, we only have time for one more call. So, Waterford, go ahead. You're on the line.
Hi, Pat.
Good evening.
I'm interested in my relationship.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I didn't know if you wanted to answer.
Well, you said you're interested in my relationship, so that led me to believe that there was one there, but I know that's what you said, but my energy tells me that it's rather rocky, especially probably in the last maybe month, 3 weeks to a month.
Yes.
Something isn't quite right.
No, it's not.
You presented something that he became uncomfortable with, and now I feel a backing off. And I think it's because he senses in you probably wanting a little more security, and he can't give it.
No.
I can only encourage you by my suggestions through advice. So what I'm going to tell you is back off a little bit, but then sit down with him and say, I don't think our goals are in the same place, because it hasn't been a real nurturing relationship. And he is afraid to make commitment. And my other energy tells me it's because he's uncertain of his own career at this point. So that being the case, time, I think, here. Time and patience from you. Okay? I don't mean to paint you as the ogre now,
No,
but
no.
I have to give it as I really see it, okay?
No, I know there's obstacles,
Oh,
but I was
very
just...
much, very much so. And he does care, and you know that. So, again, time and patience, and see things from his point of view.
I do, but
Yeah, you don't
patience,
always.
No, yeah, the patience isn't there, and I was just looking what kind of time frame do you think maybe there might be a break?
Well, because first of all, I sense him having to go away. I will tell you that. I sense him away. Now, whether it's working temporarily or
I think just from me.
Well, maybe that's it, just a break. But then I sensed him back again. And that's okay, but you need to tell him that you are willing to work on your patience because he shouldn't take the responsibility of you being impatient. Right now, he needs from you stability, and he needs from you understanding because he is going through some difficulties of his own, and he can't express like you. You have no trouble.
No.
You know, him, you know, I feel a little intimidation sometimes. So please be patient, okay?
So you don't have any, like, the beginning of the summer, end of summer?
Summertime, midsummer.
Okay.
Okay, caller?
Thank you.
you. Night.